I want to introduce Anthony Gucciardi. He's been a frequent guest on InfoWars Nightly News. His website is naturalsociety.com, and he's a very skilled researcher and a good writer, too. He's been able to put together a lot of fascinating articles about what's really happening behind the scenes with GMOs and other issues. And he's got some some frightening email to share with us today, plus a lot of other information. And we're going to go over this whole thing about GMOs and the anti-human technology that these scientists, so-called scientists, are trying to push on us. Anthony, thanks for joining us today. It's great to have you on.
Thanks a lot for having me on, Mike. And I think it really is anti-human. And as you'll see in this letter, I called it, as well as you do, a traitor against humanity. These scientists who are essentially creating these gene-altering foods that are in the food supply. And they're really offended when we call them by that name as well. That's why you can see the blind rage in this letter is amazing. And he just thoroughly admits everything.
All right, well,
lays it down.
We're going to save this letter until 8 after, because not all the radio stations carry this particular segment. So, but I appreciate you bringing that to us here at InfoWars. And it is shocking. I've read the letter. You sent it to me in advance, and it's absolutely shocking. But what are some of the big? I've got a list here of some of what I want to cover. But what are some of the big? Give us a preview of what we're going to talk about during this coming hour, Anthony.
Well, I think it's important that we revisit two key GMO studies, and that's the wheat study and then the Roundup study that was done in France, and that France is now looking into and potentially calling for a worldwide ban on GMOs. And with any luck, they will do that. It seems that they really have a backbone as opposed to the United States, which is essentially co-opted by Monsanto goons in pretty much every cabinet there is. And then we could also talk about some of these ridiculous rebuttals to the study, like this one guy saying that, oh, if GMOs were so bad, then we'd see an increase in disease. But we don't see that. Meanwhile,
no, we do.
Yeah.
Are you kidding
me?
People are dropping like flies.
I have articles as far back as the 90s saying that a mysterious cause is going around killing people with cancer and brain tumors. They don't know what it is. And then an article just today that's saying basically for the first time, which I don't even believe that's necessarily true if you consider the fact that people aren't really living, they're really on life support for years these days. But for the first time, children are now going to live shorter than their parents. So if we have to wonder why that's happening, we can look to GMOs and every other contaminant in the food supply.
Oh, yeah, I've got a story here about, I think, what was it, an 8-year-old with ovarian cancer? I mean, we're talking about children being hit with diseases that normally would have only affected adults. And even 100 years ago, some of those diseases would have been completely unheard of. And now they're commonplace.
And I don't think it's any coincidence that that French study specifically states that it kills women more quickly than men and causes massive mammary tumors and everything like that. So it's interesting how it targets a woman's reproductive system as well and kills them off with tumors and everything like that. So it's amazing when you look at it how it all ties in together.
Well, that's how you kill a species. You go after the women. I mean, you kill the women first, and then, you know, the birth rate drops, and that's the goal of these scientists. They openly admit it, and we'll have proof of that in an email that was sent to Anthony when we come back. So stay with us. All that and much more straight ahead.
Alex Jones here with a message to fellow freedom lovers. The prognosis for the entire planetary economic system runs from bad to worse. The globalist model is to shut down societies and starve patriots out until they acquiesce to the global takeover. That's why we've assembled the most vital and important preparedness items at InfoWarsShop.com. These are items that I did research on, that I personally use. We've got the life straw, so you can turn fetid water into safe water anywhere you go. The K-Tor hand crank generator to charge up key equipment during power outages or out in the field. Strategic Relocation, 3rd edition by Joel Skousen. When Disaster Strikes by Matthew Stein. ThyroSafe, used by Homeland Security to protect yourself during any radiological event. Hand crank shortwave AM/FM radios. Everything that we've researched and found to be the best is available at InfoWarsShop.com, and your purchase makes our InfoWar possible. We're getting prepared. Are you? InfoWarsShop.com.
Yes, this is the Alex Jones Show, and it is Monday, September 24th, 2012. The world is going crazy by the day, and we're here to document it and help make sense of it and possibly even find some solutions, or at least show you how you can avoid being destroyed by it. That's the ultimate goal here, is so that you survive, you stay informed, you have solutions, and hey, you spread the word. You know, you help wake up some other people who might want to still exist when the GMOs have killed off everybody else. So GMOs are the subject for this hour, and then in the next hour, by the way, we're going to have Ted Anderson joining us, and then a Q&A session taking your calls. You're welcome to call in on just about any subject that you'd like. It's going to be an interesting third hour as well, and I'm feeling great. It's like I don't even feel like I get really going here until the second hour for some reason. The first hour is just always warm up for some reason, and then I just feel jazzed to be here. I feel it. I feel the privilege of being here, the honor of being here, the opportunity to bring you this information. Now, joining us is Anthony Gucciardi from naturalsociety.com, who's got this crazy email from GMO scientists who openly admit that, yep, they know that GMOs cause infertility and they know they might kill you, but that's what they want. They love it. They want the GMOs to work. It's like food as a weapon. In fact, I wrote an article entitled that. I think it's up at Infowars.com right now. And check this out. An 8-year-old girl battles ovarian cancer. This from ABC News. Melinda Cosman of Manchester, Connecticut. She's 8 years old and she's got ovarian cancer. You know, how sad is that? And how crazy is it that we've got little girls getting reproductive cancers? That's not right. Something's wrong with that. Something's wrong with our planet. And here to help us make sense of that is Anthony Gucciardi, joining us by Skype video. Anthony, what do you think about this this 8-year-old girl with ovarian cancer and all the other young children who are being harmed and victimized by all these poisons and the vaccines and the GMOs?
Well, it all ties into what we're talking about today, and specifically the French study on GMOs, you know, with the rats with the massive tumors they had to drag along on the floor that were just almost bigger than their body. Specifically, that study found that the GMOs target women in mammary glands and everything like that, causing massive tumors. So I would say that's most likely linked up. And then you also have a study out today that shows lower income and lower education class of people who typically eat more GMOs and processed foods and stuff like that. They're dying faster than their parents had died, and you know, the age gap is ridiculous. They're dying 5 years earlier every couple of years now, and it's all linked back to these studies that are ongoing, and which, if we had more, we would conclusively know 100,000,000%. We already do, but I mean, the world would be in riots if we had these studies coming out in the capacity they should, but Monsanto's censoring it over and over again, making it almost impossible. That's why it's from France. One of the major ones from France. Well, yeah, you can never do that in the U.S.
All the studies that I've seen that try to defend GMOs are all funded by Monsanto scientists. It just looks like straight payola. Here, we'll pay you some money. You find that these foods are safe, and then we'll give you more work. And scientists line up to do that. And they are betraying humanity as a result. And you, in particular, Anthony, have called them that, traitors to humanity.
Yes, I have. And we declared Monsanto the worst company pretty much every year. I've had my website done massive press releases about it. I've been threatened with my life. I've had people send me pictures of my car and my house and tell me they're going to kill me. But outside of that, you look at the French media versus the United States media, and you look at the difference. Reuters, just like 10 minutes after it came out, said, oh, skeptics draw concerns over GMO study. And here's the quote this guy says, this funny guy. If the effects are as big as purported, and if the work really is relevant to humans, like rats aren't, you know, really relevant to humans, why aren't the North Americans dropping like flies? GM has been in the food chain for over a decade over there, and the longevity continues to increase.
Well, that's a lie. Yeah, people are dropping like flies. I mean, cancer rates are skyrocketing through the roof. Disease rates are off the charts. I mean, probably everybody listening knows someone with cancer, or they themselves have cancer. I mean, it is through the roof.
Below the age of 25 as well.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, I mean, like this 8-year-old girl with ovarian cancer. You didn't hear about that a generation ago.
And you also don't hear about the fact that okay, maybe they live a few years longer, but what kind of quality of life are they receiving? People can get chemo and essentially kill themselves through the chemotherapy, which will sometimes in turn kill the cancer. But what kind of life are you living? You know, it says also one of these articles, it said from the 90s, back when I was looking and researching, it was saying there's a mysterious reason for the massive deaths in children with cancer and everything like that. And then one article, a rebuttal, was saying from some type of skeptic website, oh, well, they're actually living longer. They're just having a decreased quality of life, and they're paralyzed, and they have no hair, and they can't talk and stuff like that. That doesn't really necessarily correlate with an enhanced health system or anything like that. They're just essentially dead but moving.
Zombies, I think, is the correct term for that.
It's unfortunate, though, too. It's sad, really. It's really upsetting. And that's why I feel passionate to be here as well and talk about this, because we can actually do something about it.
The zombie apocalypse is on. It is upon us, Anthony. I hope you have your flamethrower ready. Because
well, the CDC says it's coming.
I was just going to mention that. Yeah, the CDC says the zombie apocalypse is could be upon us. And the CDC provides the solution. I love how their little zombie comic book, nobody has a firearm.
and the military is training for zombies too.
Yeah, that's absolutely true. Now, getting back to these scientists and these GMO studies, these scientists, I've written that they are the most despicable humanoids to have ever walked the surface of this planet. And I've been threatened too, but the hilarious thing about this is that these scientists, they can't stand being criticized by people who actually quote other studies, by people who actually question. You know, we are the skeptics, Anthony, people like you and I. We are the real skeptics because we ask questions about science. We don't just totally fall for their junk corporate science and believe
science,
it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's exactly right. The best way to say it, like you just said, it's corporate science.
Yeah, it's junk science, it's fraud science. But you managed to anger one of these scientists so much, to such an incredible degree, that he wrote you a raging email. Let's get into that right now. Tell us what's in the email.
Absolutely. So I had written this article basically explaining that these GM scientists who are manipulating nature and humanity itself, altering our very genetic code and threatening future generations, are essentially traitors to humanity. And I think we said it best, anti-human. And some of the commenters got a little bit more detail than I did as well. And this guy got so upset that he went ahead and sent me an email, and I independently verified it to be who this guy says he is. And I've talked to you behind the scenes about that.
Yeah.
But here's this email, and I've taken out the expletive words, the curse words that's littered, all caps, a lot of these words. You may see it on the screen. Here it is. I am no traitor against humanity. If this expletive causes infertility, awesome, with 3 exclamation points. Awesome. It's awesome it causes infertility. The world is overpopulated and people need to stop having children. This is one of the Earth's largest problems. If the Earth wasn't overpopulated, things like growth hormones wouldn't exist. The reason they do is that the Earth cannot produce enough food on its own to feed us all. This is why GMO is actually saving the planet. And then you can see how angry he is when he says, so expletive you and your expletive. You can imagine what that means. I am doing humanity, this is all caps, a expletive favor.
We're showing the email on screen for those of you watching on prisonplanet.tv. I am doing humanity a blank favor. That is
favor. Yes, all caps as well.
And you have confirmed that this is from the scientific, let's just say, I'm not going to give the name, but an entity very well known in the scientific community. And I've independently confirmed that as well.
It's one of the top 3. We'll just say that.
All right.
It's someone that was so upset that they didn't take the necessary steps to protect themselves that they may have known about. They were just so enraged. You can tell from this email, this guy's talking from pure hatred. And he says things like, if the world wasn't so overpopulated, things like growth hormones wouldn't exist. These things don't even make any sense.
Yeah, that's weird.
He loves the fact that it causes infertility.
So this is the shift. At first, the GMO scientists said GMOs are no different than anything else. They're the same. And that's how they got regulated, or let's say really not regulated, as being the same. And then the GMO scientists, the corporate sellouts, said, oh, GMOs are different, which is why we're patenting them, but they're safe. And how do we know they're safe? Because we tested them for a whole 90 days. Well, now, when really pushed to the wall, when really pressed, when really angered on this issue, this guy comes out and admits, we know GMOs cause infertility. We know they're going to decrease human population, and we want that. That's the real story.
Well, they're only saying two different things in the public perception. Behind the scenes, they all know it's actually killing you. In fact, we have the GM wheat study that shows that. I mean, we know that it's killing you. We know that for a fact, and they know that for a fact. As you can see, this is a senior scientist saying this, and they don't care. They love it because it's a trickle-down system. Essentially, they want to be like the elite. They think that we're all peasants and they're the lords, and that if we die, that's awesome because they don't have to die. You know, some of them, their families might be eating this stuff. Likely not. I'm sure they eat 100% organic and laugh when everyone says that.
The elites do eat all organic. That's been documented here in stories here.
And they have seed vaults down in the Antarctic, and they stash organic seeds because they know that contamination is the biggest issue right now. Alfalfa, especially the GM alfalfa, gets picked up in the wind and goes to organic farms. And then when they test it to sell to other countries, the other countries say, no, we don't want that. So they just try and sell it in the U.S. instead. So it's contaminating the entire food chain, and they know this. So they're stockpiling for themselves as the peasants run around and eat the GM trash.
Alex Jones here with a message that could revolutionize health in this country. Going back about 1.5 years ago, I began to learn about the incredible health effects of longevity products. Aaron Dykes lost 92 pounds. We're going to show you some before and afters. Aaron, break down what happened, your story.
I've worked really hard with diet and exercise to try to lose weight, but I just didn't get the results. It just didn't happen. Then I saw what you were doing with InfoWarsTeam.com. I wasn't even trying to lose weight, but I got it because I wanted to feel better energy. I wanted that nutrition. Didn't even understand how that could kickstart my own weight loss goals, but the products did that for me. I found myself suddenly losing weight, more energetic, wanting to exercise, wanting to eat the right foods.
And they don't even advertise it as weight loss. I want to challenge our radio listeners to go to InfoWarsTeam.com, sign up as a distributor, and get wholesale pricing discounts at InfoWarsTeam.com.
We're talking about the scientists, the GMO scientists that literally want to kill us all, as one of them admits in an email that we just showed you. We'll get back to that. And Anthony Gucciardi is our guest this hour, continuing to join us with some analysis of the GMO scourge that threatens all life on our planet. Check this out. France orders a probe after that rat study came out showing the massive tumors in rats fed genetically modified corn. France may, in fact, ban the importation of GM corn. It's already illegal to grow it there. On Infowars.com right now, Monsanto launches damage control over the GMO cancer study. This is an article by Paul Joseph Watson. You can check that out. And I wrote an article that was published last night. It's up on Infowars.com as well. From Zyklon B to GM corn, how GMOs transformed food into a globalist weapon. And in that story, I talk about, from a psychopathic globalist point of view, the downside of Zyklon B is you have to round people up at gunpoint and stuff them into the gas chambers. Wouldn't it be easier if you could just convince people to eat their own poison? And that's GMO. How wonderful. So, Anthony Gucciardi, what do you think about all this coming out now? It seems like we, those of us who protect life on our planet, we're winning. And the scientists are getting outraged that they're losing the debate. They're probably going to lose Proposition 37. They're going to lose because this is all being exposed. What do you think, Anthony?
Well, I think you just hit the nail on the head when you mentioned the fact that it's really a soft kill. This is a new paradigm of warfare, essentially. Instead of going out and rounding up people like Hitler did and essentially killing them in whatever manner through guns or anything like that, we're actually willingly paying corporations to funnel us genetically modified garbage that we then eat and kills us, and not only us, but our future generations. And as you, of course, know, women only have a certain number of eggs, so essentially it's damaging every single potential offspring of theirs. And that's why it's key to look at this article out today also about how low-income families are dying off like crazy and have a super high incident of disease because they eat processed crap. And if you ever go to, use an unfortunate word, some type of ghetto or anything like that, all the stores, they don't even have anything organic. They can go to a farmer's market, and some do. But I mean, when you're living on food stamps, a bag of Doritos for 10 cents. You can get 10 bags of Doritos and have that for dinner. And as gross as that sounds to many of us, that's what a lot of people do, and it's unfortunate. And that's why they're seeing their lifespan drop. That's why their genetics are being ruined. That's why they're not even able to have kids, because we know actually that Roundup causes infertility. That's years old. We've known about this for a long time.
Well, yeah.
But the FDA and USDA do nothing. France does, because there's some people that actually care about stuff over there in Germany and Poland. But over here, I mean, it's just zombie land. No one even cares. They just love the GMOs. And the no to Prop 37 getting funded by Monsanto and everything, it's so obvious. It's so blatant.
Yeah, it really is blatant. It's in your face. And I like how you point out that this is really a dietary attack on poor people. I mean, this will harm poor people more disproportionately larger numbers of poor people than wealthy people who tend to eat GMOs. And of course, we know the global elite avoid GMOs completely. They eat all organic. They have raw milk served to them, even as the peons are arrested for selling raw milk or sometimes even transporting raw milk across state lines. So yeah, the elite know, don't touch this stuff. This is the poisonous food for the masses. And those masses are dropping like flies, literally. I mean, look at the cancer rates in this country. I mean, we're talking hundreds of thousands of people a year dead from cancer alone, and that doesn't even cover heart disease and all the other causes of death.
Yeah, and how about some of those mysterious deaths, which a lot of it is now being found to be essentially toxic overload. But also, they want the peons to basically eat the food and die and not have children. That's why they're now offering implantable chips to make you infertile as well. That's new news. And you're talking about the morning after pill. They give the Gardasil shot without parental consent.
Right.
They have it all down.
It's a total chemical assault is what it is.
Yes, it is.
It's a genetic assault.
Yeah. And that's the biggest thing. You were talking about the serpent earlier and everything like that. If you attack the genetic code of humans, you're essentially touching the core of humanity. It is anti-human in every sense, because you're destroying, you're unlocking the door to Pandora's box.
Yeah, no kidding. This is a new kind of warfare, folks. This is warfare on your seed. This is not guns and chemical weapons. This is destroying your humanity, destroying your egg and your sperm. This is destroying your whole lineage.
Everything we said came true. Everything we've done's been right.
Now, something interesting happened during the break. As we went to break, I looked at the phone board, and it was stacked full of callers. And then during the break, the producer asked me, said, so you want people who are pro-Monsanto to call in? Is that right? And I said, yes, that's what we want, pro-Monsanto people. And then I come back in, and the phone board is empty, which I guess, and now it looks like maybe some lines are ringing. But we may have trouble finding people who are actually in support of Monsanto. If that's the case, then I guess, Anthony, we're not going to get threatened with being killed here on the air, which is I mean, that's what I expect to happen. People calling in and saying, we're going to kill you. We know where you live. That's what they do to us. These scientists are really, well, thugs, ultimately. Your comments.
That happen.
What do you think?
Well, I think I've been threatened plenty. I kind of miss it sometimes. It reassures me that I'm doing the right thing. But I think, hey, any callers that want to call in and maybe tell us why they think people love Monsanto, why is this still going on? That might still work too. But I think I want to ask. I know some out there are listening. Probably the scientist that emailed me too, since it sounds like he essentially follows everything I do. But I want to read them a quote about this GM wheat, and I really want to know how anyone could think that this is a good thing.
Okay, wait a minute. Anthony, we have somebody on the phone board here who says they're pro Monsanto. Do you want to let's talk to them?
Let's talk to them. All
right, let's hear what they have to say. Feedman from Pennsylvania says you're pro Monsanto. Hello, Feedman. Welcome to the show. Are you really pro Monsanto, or are you joking?
Oh, well, I'm pro everything. Why not? Got to play with the winning team, right? As they always say.
Symbolic.
Right now, as I speak, I'm taking a whole load of GMO corn to some unsuspecting farmers. Come on.
Okay. All right. A lot of humor and comedy. So I don't.
Well, hey, I look at it this way. I'm not trying to interrupt. I mean, I understand.
Must be only ghosts are from Monsanto. I can't hear the caller.
No. Hold on, Anthony. He is talking. Go ahead, Feedman. Go ahead.
Yeah, I don't necessarily agree with Monsanto, but I like everybody. Even if you are a worthless walk of life, I got your back. But the second you cross my country, you better watch out.
All right, good. Thank you for the call. That's a bit of a comedian calling in. This is kind of as I suspected. We're not going to get people actually calling in who can defend Monsanto with anything rational. So, but let's keep trying. The phone board is empty. This has never happened in the history of InfoWars because, of course, we called for people who support Monsanto, and all we can get is a guy honking his horn. Anthony.
Well, hey, he made a good point. Even the worthless Monsanto zombies that want to kill everyone, they still have a spirit, but hopefully they'll come to their senses someday.
Well,
but, I was going to
he said he's pro everyone, though. I mean, does that mean what he's pro Stalin? He's pro Hitler? I mean, I don't want to second guess the guy. He's obviously having a fun time there, but how can you be pro everything? You can't be pro everything. You have to have discernment.
Yeah, you do. Exactly. And you can't let these people stomp all over you, or you're just going to eventually come to the point where you're groveling at them, and that's not something that I personally want to do. All
right, so let's do this. Let's change the rules since we can't find an actual person who supports Monsanto. All right, so here you go, callers. And here we go. 1-800-259-9231 if you're against Monsanto, if you're against GMOs. We'll take your calls now.
And let's see how fast we can get calls against Monsanto's corruption versus for Monsanto's corruption.
Yes.
If that's not significant in showing, there's really not a lot of actual real people that like Monsanto. There's apparently none. And when we have these comments on our websites, 5 seconds after we post them, 6 paragraphs long saying that GMO seeds are great and we're stupid idiots that don't know how to read a study, well, it seems that they might have some type of financial interest in what they're doing. Or the people that go on social networking websites and, blah, blah, blah all day long about how great Monsanto is. Do you think they're real, or do you think they actually have some type of motivation?
Oh, they're paid, and you know that. I mean,
yeah, obviously.
They're paid trolls. Well, look, the board is filling up. Let's go to Kenny in Ohio. But it says maybe pro Monsanto. So let's find out. Kenny in Ohio, you're on the air. Are you pro Monsanto or are you against Monsanto?
One good reason to be pro Monsanto.
This guy again.
All right, the comedian is back. Thank you for adding humor to our broadcast.
So now we can confirm that he is indeed anti-Monsanto. So the one potential caller we had that was maybe pro Monsanto because he said he liked people in general.
I love it.
Turns out he hates Monsanto too.
This is great. Let's go to Sean in Tennessee. Sean, you're on the air. Are you pro Monsanto? Are you against Monsanto? Or are you honking a horn at us as the previous
Well,
caller?
I'll just put it this way. Judging from what I noticed happened with my mother being diagnosed with breast cancer, now thankfully she got over it with all this new modern scientific medicine. I don't really like it all that much. I think it makes things worse, but no, I don't really care for Monsanto. They're killing people, even those in my family. And I'm really tired of their crap.
Yeah, are you teaching your family about avoiding GMO?
Well, I've tried to approach them in different ways, on many different levels. My mom seems so confident and assured that she has this thing going, some kind of special diet with not being on gluten and all that.
Yeah.
I guess it seems reliable. I don't know if I can necessarily disprove it, but she seems to be pretty confident in that as it's been lately.
But are you seeing
she's just basically eliminating all gluten or whatever? Since I guess from what I understand, that's what her doctor's telling her, that she has to go without that.
Well, that's a good thing to eliminate gluten, but you got to watch out because corn is a gluten-free food, and a lot of the gluten-free products are made with corn. And if you don't buy organic, then they can be genetically modified corn. Anthony, your thoughts on that point?
Yeah, I hear callers every radio show I go on call in and say basically that they had a relative or even an animal in some cases. Farm owners call in. We had a relative or a cattle or whatever eating this GMO corn or whatever it is, and they just basically got cancer or dropped dead. You'll notice the caller for the caller also though that French study specifically mentions that the women were getting tumors a lot more quickly than the men. It targets the women, absolutely. It's unfortunate. Gluten-free doesn't mean it's healthy. Always buy organic. GMO-free 100%. It can still be GMO if it's gluten. A lot of people are on that gluten craze, Yeah,
definitely. Okay, let's go to some other callers. This is always fun. We've got Frank in Nebraska who says, the description says pro-GMO. Frank, is it true? Are you in support of Monsanto and GMOs? Tell us, please.
Oh, well, I tell you what, I think GMO food should be served at every Bilderberg meeting, the whole UN, Wall Street, all you know, and all the major financial centers, and yeah. So I mean, it's like, you know, if Messrs. Rothschild, Rockefeller, and Seligman and the rest of the crowd think it's so damn good, by God, they should be the first to eat it, don't you?
All right, Frank wins the More Cowbell Award right here at the Alex Jones Studios. More cowbell for you, Frank. Good answer. And literally, we are trying to take calls from people who are in favor of Monsanto, and we can't find one person. But thank you, Frank. That was a very good suggestion, and maybe we should take that. Anthony, your thoughts on the globalists and their diets and why they're avoiding GMO?
Well, I think if they think GMO is the same as regular high-quality organic food, then they should really be eating GMOs all day long. And I would challenge anyone that's pro-GMO to literally eat a 100% diet of GMO foods for a year. And if you're still alive, then you call into the show and be the first caller to actually support Monsanto.
Maybe we should have a reward. Somebody,
yeah, we'll give you a reward.
Wanted, dead or alive.
Yeah, they call in and they can't speak English anymore. You know, we'll talk to them.
Okay, all right. Chuck in New Hampshire. Chuck is apparently against Monsanto. Is that true, Chuck? Are you not in favor of evil contaminated food that may cause cancer tumors? What's the deal, Chuck?
Hey, Mike, how are you? I'm very much against Monsanto and genetically modified foods. The reason I called in, I wanted to comment. I met up with some libertarians 2 days ago. We actually marched on the Fed in Boston. But a number of these libertarians were in favor of genetically modified foods just because of the whole issue of being libertarian, not wanting to infringe on a company's right to promote these foods. So I really think what the work you're doing is important, trying to reach out and teach people why these foods are harmful and why they should be labeled, in fact.
Yes, good point. Well, libertarians should know that in a free market, you have to have good information in order to make an informed choice. So libertarians, I would hope, I mean, I count myself as a libertarian-leaning type of person, but we got to know what's in the food to make the decision in a free market, right? What do you think, Chuck?
No, absolutely, man. I read that one piece that you did about being able to make an informed choice in a free market. You absolutely have to know what it is you're purchasing, what you're exchanging for.
Yeah, right.
A lot of people are just misinformed. There's a lot of misinformation about GMOs out there. There's a lot of propaganda. So I think the work that you're doing is extremely important, so thank you.
Well, thank you, Chuck, calling from the state named after hemp, New Hampshire. Anthony, the next call goes to you. All right, Chris from Kentucky. Chris, welcome to the show. Do you have a question for Anthony Gucciardi?
Yes, I formerly used to be for this until I woke up as somebody who educated on me. I work part-time in a restaurant, and you talk about the labels. Everything is modified. It's the genetically modified oils. Everything is in there. This is not food these days. I don't eat the food at the restaurant, but with the economy, I got to work part-time at this job. But the reality of it is, avoid going to restaurants and ask questions. If you can find some place that can locally support the farmers to have a restaurant, that's where I go. Stay away from these chains.
Very good point. Restaurant food. Anthony, your comments on restaurant food and GMO.
That's absolutely key, and the same goes for supermarket food. If you're going to a restaurant, especially a low class, not low class, but a lower income bracket restaurant like McDonald's or something like that, and that's why we're seeing the study with people who are financially struggling dying quicker because they go to McDonald's. I almost said Monsanto. They go to McDonald's.
One and the same, buddy.
And they purchase $1 burger, or they go to the supermarket and purchase $1 chip bag or something like that. Chances are it is GMO almost 100% of the time, so avoid that. Absolutely.
What kind of bag did you just say?
Chip bag.
A chip bag, snack chip bag. Okay.
Yeah.
I thought you violated FTC there for a moment. Okay, let's go to Leah.
What would I even have said? I don't even know.
No worries. It's all live radio. Leah in Nevada, are you pro Monsanto, or are you against GMOs in our food being secretly added to our foods? What's your take, Leah?
I'm definitely against GMOs in our food, and there's 2 points I want to raise here. Back in the days, if you get a product that's poison, why don't we have skulls and crossbones on the labels of these GMO foods?
I like that.
The other thing is, with all the smoking guns, we have against Monsanto and GMOs, why hasn't there been a class action lawsuit in the United States? Because they're obviously killing people. They're giving people cancer. And also, you know, the fertility problems. Why? I mean, to my knowledge, there hasn't been a class action lawsuit. Can you?
That's a really good point, and it would have to happen, Anthony, on the scale of something like big tobacco, wouldn't it?
Well, there have been lawsuits,
but I mean, not a big nationwide class action type of deal.
Oh, right, of course, right. It would have to be massive. It would have to have millions of dollars worth of funding. We've looked into it. We've actually discussed with a few people about what it would take, and it would take at least $2 million just to even get the lawyer fees and everything out of the way to get started. Then you'd have to find people that were damaged from Agent Orange and everything like that. As far back as we're talking like the 40s, we could go back as far as then and start getting people that were damaged by Monsanto-related creations like Agent Orange and stuff like that, which they did, of course, make and kill over 500,000 people. They're not a corporation that cares about you. And we would have to go through that process. It would be super complicated. I think the best way would just be to label them out of existence.
Yeah. Hence Prop 37. That's why this is the ultimate weapon for protecting our health and safety in the food supply. Let's take another call, Anthony. We've got Mac in New Hampshire with us. Mac, are you in favor of GMOs or are you against them?
I'm against GMOs, but think of it this way. Why does America eat them? Why doesn't our government ever come out and tell us?
Well, the scientists tell us that they like the infertility. They love decreasing the population. That's what they say.
That doesn't get out onto your media, does it?
Nope.
I mean, the regular media.
Right.
Right. Now, you guys always talked about Hitler, right? You guys should learn about Hitler. He didn't kill all those people. It's done by the same people that are doing it now. Like the Rothschilds, the Lagoyeviches.
IG Farben in the pharma industry, right.
Yeah, but you guys should learn about Hitler. He didn't kill people. That was done by the Warburgs, the Hamburgs, the same people. It's the rich, the ultra elite that are killing us. You know, you should never blame Hitler. He didn't do any of that stuff. It's all done by the elites.
Well, yeah, I mean, the globalist madmen, they always have henchmen to carry out, thugs to carry out their orders. I mean, look at the TSA. Napolitano's not reaching down your pants, not yet anyway, but she's got a bunch of thugs out there at the airports who will gladly do it for them. Anthony, your thoughts on top-down control of tyranny?
Well, the caller's right. Obviously, Hitler was essentially a figurehead, but it doesn't mean he's a good person at all. I would definitely not say that.
No, he wasn't saying that either. He's just saying that.
No, I just want to be clear. We don't support him at all. But what I was saying...
that should be a given, Welcome to the show.
Obviously.
We don't support Hitler.
We don't support... When it gets to that point, when we have to say we don't support Hitler, something's wrong. But anyway,
right.
I was going to say, basically, I don't know if the caller is aware, but there was a recent news piece, I believe about 2 days ago, that explained the German citizens, a lot of the German military citizens actually got off without even orders. They were going ahead and killing people, killing babies, killing women, killing children. This reminds me of this scientist. Once again, if you missed the email, I'm going to read one portion of it.
Oh, yeah, but hold on, Anthony, you're right. That did just come out. It was interviews with German soldiers who loved the act of killing women and children. They loved it. They lived for it.
Yeah, they physically were driven by it. And even when they weren't ordered to kill, they would just kill anyway, which shows that it's a trickle-down effect to the point where they think they're in power, too, over these 4-year-olds. And they get this disgusting, power-driven lust of killing these little babies, literally little babies.
No, it was one of the German pilots that would drop bombs on civilian populations. I remember in this article, he said it gave him a tingly feeling. So I wonder if these GMO scientists, if they get a tingly feeling when they see, low-income people shopping for corn chips in the store, does that give them a tingly feeling to know they're soft-killing those poor citizens?
Well, their leaders do. At the top, the elite certainly get that tingly feeling, except it's more, I think, of a evil feeling, a lust of power. But the scientist in this email, like we said, we verified it before. You may have heard it already, but he said, I am no traitor against humanity. If this curse word causes infertility, referring to GMOs, awesome. The world is overpopulated and people need to stop having children. So obviously he's getting off on it, just like the German soldiers, I think, were getting off on it when they have no real power. They're just killing babies. And what's this guy killing low income or killing the world, really everyone, even rich people eat this stuff.
Like mad scientist.
The world. He's a mad scientist, and he's probably making 500 grand to kill people.
Right, because it's always a lot of money in causing death, it seems. Let's go to another caller. Tim in Kentucky. Welcome to the show, Tim. How can we help you, sir?
How you doing, guys?
Doing
Great
good.
show so far. I got 2 points. First
All
of
right,
all,
make it quick because we're about to go to break. So go ahead and we'll stay with you.
All right, disabled veterans from Desert Storm, and I was part of that slow kill where I took all the shots and the pills in the DU, and I'm 4 years older than Alex, and I have 10 diseases.
Do you understand how dark it is? How far down the line we are? How late it is?
All right, we've got on the line a returning veteran from, I believe, maybe Desert Storm. Well, he'll tell us in a second. This is the Alex Jones Show. We're continuing our conversation with callers about GMO and how we're all being soft-killed using food as a weapon. But this individual was injected with experimental vaccines. It says he now has 10 diseases. Is it Tim? Is that your name?
Yes, sir.
Okay, Tim, you're back on the air. Go ahead.
I was just pointing out that I heard Alex the other day say he was 38, and I remember thinking to myself, well, I'm 42, only 4 years older than him, and I have 10 diseases. 10 diseases. Now, this slow kill started for me 21 years ago. I've went on since then to get a degree in plant science, and I was doing that around 1999, and those Monsanto people were sending salespeople to the university, to tell us what a great thing this was.
Really?
And I remember questioning it, thinking, this can't be right.
So do you blame your diseases on the vaccines from the military or diet or what?
Absolutely. Absolutely absolutely from the service, from the depleted uranium and the multiple vaccinations and the live nerve agents. That's absolutely the cause. I had the same Major Rocky that comes on there a lot with Alex from Desert Storm. He's got teeth falling out. I have the same type of symptoms.
I'm going to have Anthony read you a quote, Tim. And Anthony, you have that quote ready?
Yeah, Tim, I want to bring this into reality for a minute. People always think it's so funny to say that GMOs don't do anything, vaccines are perfectly safe, and these so-called skeptics really get off on it and love it. I want to really read this quote to you, and I want you to respond. Tell me if this is the case, because it's really upsetting to me that this is happening. This is reality. This caller is reality, and the people saying this garbage are not. This guy says, well, GMOs can't be bad. He says, if the effects are really as bad as they say, and the work is really relevant to humans, why aren't North Americans dropping like flies, and why aren't the disease rates rising? Tim, can you tell me, basically, do you think that's true, that we're all fine, everything's fine in your scenario?
No, absolutely not. Absolutely not. No. It's a slow kill, and they're going to die. I'm going to die. I've known that since I got my degree in '99. I've known what's killing me. Now I know what's killing me. See, my degree was actually specific in golf courses, so I spent time on golf courses after I graduated, and the insecticides were what hit me off.
Oh, man.
The recontact with insecticides, I would start to vomit and drool and things like that. So, it's not that letter. That person shouldn't be a accredited scientist.
This is the professor. This is the skeptic professor saying that GMOs are perfectly safe on Reuters. I'm reading it. The effects are as big as purported, and the work is really relevant to humans. Why aren't the American dropping like flies? This is on Reuters. This is their main source to call the article. Skepticism grows over Monsanto GMO corn study. So this is this guy that's completely out of touch with the reality, literally lying. As people are calling in, and we're seeing the article saying that people are starting to die quicker and quicker, cancer rates are skyrocketing. He's saying everything's fine. If the GMOs were so bad, why is everything so perfect?
All right, Tim, I feel compassion for you, man. I just want to say, get your nutrition up. Eat superfoods, get the supplements, get the trace minerals, protect yourself to a very...
I say, Tim, go to naturalnews.com, Mike's website, start reading it every single day and listen to what they have to say. You can literally save your life. You don't have to die. You start doing some detoxes and some cleanses and stuff, you can get on the right track, man.
That's right, Tim.
Will do, man. I appreciate the help, guys. Have fun.
All right. Thank you. Take care, Tim. Let's go to this, Anthony. We've only got not even enough time to cover this. But tell you what, will you stay with us for 5 more minutes, Anthony, into the next hour? And we're going to cover cows now being fed gummy bears, marshmallows, Fruit Loops, orange peels, and candy because of the drought in the Midwest. How about that? There's a fascinating subject for you. Cows. They're feeding candy to cows. Yep, all that coming up straight ahead. And wow, what a show. We've been talking about secret poison in your food, the GMO. And Anthony Gucciardi is going to stay with us for the next few minutes, and then we'll be joined by Ted Anderson in about 7 minutes. And check this out. This news is just breaking. Yahoo News says that cows, well, the drought has been so bad in the Midwest that corn is super expensive and in short supply, so these farmers are feeding their cows this candy. Now, Anthony, you brought this to my attention last night, and I was just shocked. I could not believe they're feeding their cows marshmallows and Fruit Loops and gummy bears. Is this for real? I mean, is this what it's come down to now? We're feeding cows candy?
This is reality. And for the very same reasons that we would never eat it, they're feeding it to cows. It says here that they're feeding it to them because of the high sugar content and no real nutritional value. So they actually want no nutritional value and high sugar content to make sure the cows get really, really fat, really huge. And of course, they're also going to get super sick and get cancer and die during the same time. So they have to make sure they get them fat as possible so they can kill them as quick as possible so they don't actually die on them.
Well, the cancer tumors add to the raw beef weight, don't they? I mean,
well, apparently
the carcass weight. The extra tumors, it gives them a little more payback for raising the cow, doesn't it? I mean, I'm joking, but
of course.
I would hope that a USDA inspector would see a large tumor and say no to that carcass, but I mean, you never know. Everything's crazy these days.
Well, apparently it's okay to feed them, quote, cookies, gummy worms, chocolate, Fruit Loops, and candies instead of any grain or corn, which is bad at the beginning. But so now not only do they have an excessive amount of antibiotics, which 2 days ago were admitted to be harming human health. I mean, everyone knows about it. It's been admitted a bunch of times, but a big story said that. Artificial hormones, such as Monsanto's cloned RBGH, which how they make that is they clone genetically modified material and string it together and inject it into the cow. Sounds really good.
Yeah, well, I think we're going to have a pandemic of diabetic cows now. Is what's going to happen. And then I think the CDC is going to announce there's a new pandemic of diabetic cows. And, well, the drug companies are going to have bovine diabetes drugs approved by the USDA. And we're going to have veterinarians running around all the cow fields now, treating cows and charging $100,000 for each cow to treat them for diabetes. What do you think about that?
But watch them apply it to humans, too, just like this cancer drug they were researching, right? This is hilarious. Everyone needs to listen to this. They were researching a cancer drug and found that it accidentally made men sterile, so now they're reintroducing it as a birth control drug for men.
It never ends, Anthony. It just never ends, man.
I can't even talk about it sometimes. But so now the cattle won't just have these antibiotics, growth hormones, GMOs from corn, everything like that. But here are just some of the ingredients that they're now going to be eating in this new medley of candy. High fructose corn syrup, which, as Alex always talks about on Infowars.com and on the radio show, contains mercury admitted by the Washington Post if you just Google that.
Right.
MSG, hydrogenated oils, pesticides, herbicides like Monsanto's Roundup, insecticides, artificial flavorings, artificial colorings, artificial sweeteners like aspartame. So not only are you going to get the whole dose of GMOs, but now you're going to get some mercury and some high fructose corn syrup in there as well. And then, of course, assuming you're eating conventional meat, you can avoid this by eating organic or avoiding meat altogether. You should eat organic everything. But really, this is what these people are going to be eating now is going to be even worse. And the cows are going to get even sicker, and it's going to be even more detrimental to human health.
I just don't get it, man. What kind of farmer thinks, well, my cow is hungry, let's find some gummy bears?
Well, I'll tell you. It says right here. It says right here.
Anthony, we're out of time, man.
All right.
I want to thank you for joining us today, though. And, folks, if you want to learn more about Anthony's website, it's naturalsociety.com. Anthony, great analysis today. Thanks for sharing the email with us in particular.
Thanks a lot for having me.
Yeah, good to have you on.
Visit Infowars.com and PrisonPlanet.com. When you're on the site, you can also tune in 24 hours a day to my daily radio broadcast. There's also a free iPhone app to listen to the syndicated radio show when and where you want.